Whether we like to admit it or not, social media is affecting our lives. In a good way, in a bad way, in an ugly way. Either way, it's changing how we go through life. It's changing the warp speed in which we look at things. It's changing how we perceive things. It's changing how we perceive ourselves. It's changing how we look at ourselves in the mirror. Here's the thing. There are a lot of studies out there that are starting to look at how social media is influencing our perception of life in general. But there was one behavioral scientist named Clarissa Silva that recently did a study that took a look at people as a whole and how they're responding to social media. Well, what she found was that 60% of people found that their self-esteem was negatively affected by social media. 50% of people claimed that they had relationship struggles as a result of social media. And then 80% of people claimed that they were much easier to be deceived now because of social media. Basically, the polished reality that's out there basically makes it so that they can really get tricked, and people are aware of it. So what I want to talk about in this video is really the ways that social media is influencing your life and what we need to be cognizant of. And the first one that I want to talk about is flat out validation. Okay, we're always going to be socially comparing ourselves to others. We're human. Okay, that's just the way it goes. You walk down the street, you may not internalize it, but you look at that person walking on the other side of the street and you're judging them. You're casting judgment, and it's okay. Casting negative judgment is not necessarily a bad thing, it's a survival mechanism. When we're going through life, if we don't have sort of the urge to be negative right out the gate, it doesn't make sense from a survival standpoint. We're always prepared for the worst. So it's okay to be judging people, it's just how you act on that judgment and how you really internalize it. It's okay to have that superficial level of, is this person good or bad? But when it starts happening on social media, when you start really validating yourself or judging yourself based on what other people are doing, it makes it very difficult. You see, normally when we go through life, you see people, you meet people, and you compare yourself to others. And it's happening at a casual speed that our bodies can handle. Okay, maybe you see someone that looks better than you or you think looks better than you. You have time to process that. You think about it. You stir on it. Maybe you dwell some emotion on it. Maybe it frustrates you, maybe it doesn't. But then it happens on social media where people are gloating. They're putting their abs in your face. They're putting their biceps in your face. They're putting their fake breasts in your face. It's all there. But what's happening is it's happening so fast that we're never able to process it and internalize it in a way to make it positive. We just see it and we're constantly bombarded by the inbound. And one thing that I always learned early in my business career was that you want to control the outbound and never be overwhelmed by the inbound, ever. So if you're in a sales position or you're in a business position for any reason, you don't want to necessarily be overwhelmed with uncontrollable inbound. Okay, but what you do want to do is be able to control your outbound so that you know exactly what you're in control of. So I guess what I'm trying to say is we constantly have this polished reality that's forced in our faces that's throwing off the social proof of our life. Now we don't have something that's truly transparent. We don't have something that's truly there for us to judge ourselves on. That's just one part of the equation. Now let's start talking about the extension of our lives through likes, okay, through digital likes. We now have this tangible way to seek validation. Now I know I'm preaching to the choir when I say this because it's something that everyone has experienced. You post something on Facebook, you post something on YouTube, Instagram, and you're immediately waiting for that validation. You're waiting to see how people respond to it because you're going to seek validation from that. It's that instant gratification that we're starting to really drive for. Okay, we're really starting to strive for constant validation of what we do in life. And that's okay, but here's the problem. It's really hard to separate how you look at digital life versus how you look at real life. So instances of depression are extremely high now because we're looking for this instant gratification that we would ordinarily get on Facebook or ordinarily get on Instagram. You post a picture of yourself shirtless or you post a picture of the dinner that you cooked and suddenly you're flooded with positive emotion or maybe negative emotion, it doesn't really matter. But either way, you're flooded with a response. Then you go to real life and you cook something, or you go to real life and you smile at somebody and the response is so much smaller than it was on social media. By contrast, your brain doesn't really know how to compute. Your dopamine levels are getting burnt out. You're actually burning out your senses with social media, so you're desensitized in the real world. Now, I'm not saying that that's necessarily a bad thing. Our world is going into a digital age and you need to keep up with the times, but at the same time, we have to look at it from a physiological perspective. If you're constantly seeking that instant gratification that's coming from likes, then you're going to constantly be seeking that instant gratification in real life, and it's never going to move fast enough to satisfy you. Now, you may be wondering, Thomas is a fitness guy. What does this have to do with anything? Well, it translates directly in how you look at your body. You look at yourself in the mirror and you're expecting that instant gratification again. Because your brain, the neural synapses, the neuroplasticity, everything that's going on in your brain is computing and telling you that you should have a result like that. And it's not that way. Life takes time. Good things take time. All good things that happen in life take legitimate time. So when you look in the mirror and you don't like what you see initially, you're not getting those likes on your own self-image. So your validation is totally skewed. Now, last but not least, I do want to touch on just the polished reality of social media. The fact that we are becoming much more easy to deceive. That's a big one. So our internal guard is going away. Our BS meter, so to speak, our ability to tell if people are truly doing good or truly doing bad is actually going away because we are so immune to it. We're so used to people putting out a false impression of what their life is and this total polished reality that they live in a mansion, drive a Lamborghini, and their life is perfect, and photoshopping their images, that we don't trust people anymore because we just expect that. We just expect life to be fake. And believe it or not, that's going to translate into how you look at your life. You're going to start looking at your life as fake. Neuroplasticity is a real thing. How you condition your mind day in and day out is going to reflect how you live today. So if you're spending the bulk of your time on social media and the bulk of your time doing that, guess what? That's how your brain has become framed. So I want you to focus on a couple of things. I want you to A, focus on not finding that validation through social media. That's a simple one. But B, I want you to live a real life. And I'm saying this as someone that's a social media celebrity or whatever the heck you want to call it, that talks to a lot of people. And I'm someone that lives on social media a lot. But I can also tell you that you should turn off this video and you should get outside and you should try to live a real life as much as you possibly can to make sure that you have that balance. Now, I still want you to come back and watch my videos from time to time, but I want to make sure that you understand that it's all about balance and making sure that you don't get too one-sided in this, or at least being cognizant of everything that's going on. As always, make sure you keep it locked in here on my channel, and if you have any ideas for future videos, make sure you put them in the comment section below, and that way I can make sure that I get to them, make sure I put out the good content. I'll see you soon.